What's going on out there, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to another Wired for Crappie Live, where I am trying to get my cameras to work. Hey, there you are. Can everybody see me? Hey, there we go. Now I don't feel like I'm bending over, slouched over, slumped over. Sit up straight. Posture, remember posture. Good posture. It's important. Back, keep the back good. What is up? Hope everybody's doing well this evening. We have got a good one in store for you guys tonight. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So as you guys come on tonight, first and foremost, if you're joining us from Florida, we know what you guys are getting tonight. That's for sure. So, prayers go out to everybody in Florida tonight. Hurricane Milton rolling through down there. And I've been watching some of the lives for Hurricane Milton, and I mean, it is rolling through. And when I say rolling, it's more like blowing, okay? It is blowing and going down there because it is rolling through like crazy. If you're from Florida or watching from Florida tonight, hope you're safe. And our prayers go out to everyone down there with that storm that's coming through this evening and in the morning, early hours of the morning tonight, right? So hope everybody stays safe down there, and our prayers are with you for sure. Don't forget, when you get on tonight, drop me a hello. Let me know where you're from. Always appreciate you guys for being here, checking in, and, keeping up with Wired and what all we're doing. And I don't know why my camera is so dark tonight, but I feel like I'm in the dark. Do you guys feel like I'm in the dark? I tried to put a cover over the camera because I tried to fool it tried to trick it thinking it was dark tonight, but man, I feel like I'm in the dark. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see me. If you can, great. If you can't, then hopefully you can hear me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you can get one or the other. You can rather see me or hear me, one of the two. All right. So couple things that we're going to talk about this evening. We're going to talk about some jigs, some jig heads, some lines, some different stuff. And, like I said, always drop me that hello. Always let us know where you're from. But we got a special guest hopefully going to be on tonight. He's going to be with us. We're going to be talking about some different things. And guys, I just want you guys to get your questions ready. Get, anything and everything that you can think of that's crappie related or electronic related or boat related or fishing related or, anything that you guys think, hey, I want to know two guys' opinions instead of one opinion. Because typically when I get on, I'm talking to you guys from my perspective, my opinion, and my opinion's not the only one that matters. Everybody's does, right? Everybody may have a different opinion than I do. So make sure that when you guys get on, you ask some questions, get us going. We like to argue, me and this person, okay? So me and this guest, we like to argue. We argue back and forth all the time. I generally win every argument. I'm just going to say that. No, it's not my wife, okay? My wife is not getting on with us tonight, but I do generally win every argument, okay, with this person. I'm just saying, I'm throwing that out there. I generally win. So make sure you guys have some comments ready for us, okay, because we want to answer them. We want to give you guys the best of both worlds, okay, from a little, nobody crappie fisherman to the pro that he is. You're going to get some good information tonight, some good knowledge. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. Real quick though, before we get going, I do want to show you guys one thing. Oh, look at that. Bam. I got my prop back. So if you guys saw the prop video or the prop live where we talked about me messing this thing up royally, one of these fins, and honestly, I don't know which one it was. I can't tell. So one of these fins was completely folded over right here. I mean, completely just folded over on itself. Man, I'll tell you what, Mark's Propeller up in Illinois done made this thing pretty again. Look at that. I mean, beautiful. I can't tell which one was bent. I really can't. I'm sitting here staring at them, and I'm trying to figure out which one did he fix. I can't tell it. I mean, it is absolutely perfect. So anyway, big shout out to Mark's Propeller up in Illinois. Appreciate you guys for fixing my prop, that I messed up. But hey, we got her back. We're going to get her thrown back on the on the boat and get going again, which we were already going, but I did run that 4-blade on my boat, and I really wasn't all that excited about it. So we're going to switch it back to the 3-blade. I like it a little bit better. Let's say some hellos real quick, and then we're going to get going. Nathan Wood, what's up? Crappie Kev, hello. Tom A. from Pennsylvania, what's up? Slab Happy Lures from Greene County, good evening, good evening. Russell Odin, Mr. Lightwire Hooks, what's up? I'll go ahead and ask, will Watts clear before the 19th? Well, we're going to talk about that. That's a good question. We're going to come back to that one when we get our guest on. We're going to ask that question. We're going to get two different opinions because I know we've been arguing about that ourselves back and forth on the telephone for like a week. We're like, it's not. Yes, it is. It's not. Fish are going to bite. They're not. Yeah, they will. So we've been going back and forth about it. It's going to be good conversation. We'll get back to that one, okay, Slab Happy? Let's see. James Williams, what's going on? Paul Gwynn. Jimmy Pratt, what's going on in the house? Chris Sims, hello, hello. Derek from Cochran, Georgia, what's going on? Jeremy Smith. We got Jeff Brenham, what's going on? Rick Martin, hello, hello from Arkansas. Woo, Pig Suey. Yeah, we know from Arkansas. Arkansas beat Tennessee. We know. Don't start gloating on here, okay? It's a fishing channel, not a football channel. Don't start your gloating. We don't want to hear you gloating, okay, Rick? Greg Holder, what's up? Herb Tudor. Good evening, Matt. What's going on? Danny Lang. Hello, Matt. New to the channel. What's going on, Danny? Thanks for being here, buddy. Hope you like the content. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, gripes, anything, put it right down there in the comment section. We always like to answer those questions for you guys. So, real quick, I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes. Well, 1 minute. I'm going to give you guys 1 minute. Who do you think our guest speaker is tonight? Who do you think we're getting on the channel with us to talk some crappie fishing? Let's see. Let's see who you guys think. Name some names for me. Throw them out there. Let's see who you guys think is coming on with us tonight. And we'll see who's right and who's wrong. Just real quick, go ahead, drop some comments. Let us know. What do y'all think? Who do y'all think it is? George Hamby, what's going on from Maryville, Tennessee? What's going on, George? Hope you're doing well, buddy. Any questions or any guesses? Excuse me. Any guesses? Any guesses? We got Joel Nash, Scott Bunch, Joel Nash. What's up, Ronnie from Carrollton? What's going on? What's going on? I'm always a little behind you guys, so I always ask a question, and then I kind of sit here and I watch, and I'm like, let's see. Asleep at the Reel, Chris. What's up, Dave? How's it going? How's it hanging up there on Douglas Lake with all the debris and everything else? Danny Lang, did Bonehead Tackle ever get in touch with you? Not yet. Not yet. And I sent him an email, so we'll see what happens. Jeffrey Smith, good question. What do you think the crappie are at with all this high water? And is it important to have your live scope compass calibrated? Very good question. We're going to come back to that one too. I'm logging these questions or marking these questions so that we can come back to them here in just a minute. Okay. I am flagging us some questions. All right, without further ado, let's go grab our guest. We're going to bring him in. We'll slide him in right here from this side of the screen. Watch this right here. This is pretty cool stuff right here. You guys ready? And whammo. What's up, Joe Nash?
What's up?
What's going on, man?
Ready to talk a little crappie.
Ready to talk crappie. You got to talk loud. Yell at me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, we're good to go. Can everybody hear us? Are we good? Are we back in action? Live action. Turtle Man. Joe, what have you been into, man? You floating away down there yet?
No, it's not bad here.
Not bad?
Our lakes here are normal.
Normal.
They're normal. Yeah, they're normal. I feel sorry for everybody east of here.
It's bad, man.
It's bad.
I mean, it's something like I've never seen. The sheer amount of mud that's coming down our river is incredible. I've never seen that much mud, but
Yeah, it's muddy.
yes,
It's
extreme.
muddy. I've not got a chance to actually be at the lake, but I've seen a lot of pictures.
Yeah, a lot of pictures, right? Pictures, videos.
Yeah.
The whole East Tennessee Crappie Tournament Trail is sending out, updates and messages and texts and everything, and they're like, "What are we gonna do?" So it's, but yeah, it's bad. It's muddy. So the water conditions aren't horrible. It's just muddy. It's just, God, it's just horrid.
The current is
Yeah.
the current is the worst.
Yeah, current's bad. Yeah, they're pulling,
but you can't deal with the current.
No, what were they pulling out of Watts Bar? 63,000 or something like that.
63,000. 63,000. It's supposed to slow down. It's supposed to slow down in the next couple of days, but still more than normal.
Yeah, 63,000. That's just, I mean, we thought when we fished Watts Bar pulling, I don't remember what it was, 37,000 or 41,000 or something like that. That's
still a bunch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's nothing compared to right now.
Yeah.
When it's coming in and going out too, it's a constant flow.
Yeah.
It's a constant flow that way.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. So, guys, we wanted to come on tonight and we wanted to give you guys a couple different looks at some of these questions. We wanted to talk some different baits. I know Joel and I, we've been competing together in tournaments now for what, 4 years, 5 years?
This will be 4.
4 years.
Yes.
So, Joel and I always kind of poke each other before each tournament, and I'll call him and be like, "Where are you fishing at?" And he's like, "Oh, well, the same place you are. Where are you fishing at?" Neither one of us will ever give it up, but knowing that if we ever did give it up, I'd never dare go where you told me you were going, and you'd never dare go where I told you I was going. But we still ain't gonna do it. There's just something unwritten about not giving up where you're gonna fish at, right? But we have a good time with it, and But one thing that I've learned with Joel and I is our bait choices. They're similar, right? Our bait choices are similar, but at the same time, they're different.
Yeah.
And one thing that I always tell Joel is, hey, pumpkin chartreuse, man, pumpkin chartreuse. And he's like, man, I can't catch a fish on pumpkin chartreuse. You're crazy. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's right.
So, you
definitely need to throw the pumpkin and chartreuse next week.
Oh, I will be.
Yeah.
Oh, I will be. I promise you that. If I grab my tournament rod, it's over there.
It's almost the same color as the water.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. If it doesn't get any cleaner, you ain't gonna see pumpkin chartreuse anytime soon, are you?
No.
Nah, you ain't gonna see pumpkin chartreuse. It's like chocolate milk. It's actually, I think it's a cross between. Well, I don't even know what color to call it. What color would you call it?
It's tomato soup. Like a deep clay looking color.
Tomato soup, right?
It's clay. It's like clay. I've not really ever seen it like that.
Yeah, I ain't either. That's the first for me. But it's bad. Well, look at all the mudslides that happened right up there in northeast Tennessee. All the mudslides that just slid all kinds of silt and mud and trash and junk and just into the lake or river, and all that just ends up down the lake.
Oh yeah, more than the fishing, though, I feel sorry for all the people up there. It's horrible.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So, yep. All right, well, let's get to it. Let's start with some comments, some questions. Guys, like I said, if you have any questions, now's the time to drop them in the comment section. Please give us something to talk about, right? We've got some stuff we want to talk with you guys about. We've got some goodies that we want to share with you guys and talk about. So we've got some content we want to talk about, but really we want to help you guys, right? Joel is an extremely good angler, even more so than I. I'll tell you what, when I go to the lake to fish against Joel, I worry about it. Let me tell you that, okay? It scares me a little bit. So this guy right here is a huge crappie angler, great crappie angler, absolutely loves to go catch fish and can catch them in a toilet bowl after you flush it. Okay. So this guy right here has all kinds of knowledge he wants to share. So any comments, any questions, please put them down in the comment section. We're going to get to them tonight. Okay. He's got a big old brain. Well, I think. I'm not sure.
Some say I don't.
He got a lot of crappie knowledge. I don't know if he's got a big brain or not.
Yeah, that don't. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So first question of the night from Mr. Slab Happy. I'll go ahead and ask, will Watts clear before the 19th? So we've been back and forth on this, Joel. What do you think?
The creeks will be more clear, but the main channel will not be clear. No,
I would agree. I would.
And if they slow the current down, a lot of the mud will stay for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just going to go right through.
Yeah.
But creeks, you'll be able to fish in the creeks.
Yeah. So one thing that we talked about was if they do slow that water down, it's going to stop that mud from flowing, which will probably push some of it out of the main channel. Because right now it's flowing so fast it can't leave the main channel because it's just stuck there because of the current. But if they slow it down and that mud disperses, it's gonna hopefully they don't slow it down 3 days before the tournament because then it doesn't have time to settle.
Yeah.
But if they'll stop it now, let that mud disperse a little bit, that silt and that mud will settle to the bottom.
It'll settle some, yep.
And it will clear up by next weekend. But if they stop it on the 17th, we're in trouble.
Yeah. And the fish is still, I think they still got to get used. I don't think they're going to set out in that current, not that bad a current.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be some, but the fish ain't going to stay out there and do this for 2 weeks. You know? Well,
that's like let's go back to the ACC tournament. The ACC tournament, you and Jimmy and a few others were going down the lake or had been fishing down the lake. Let me say that. You guys had been fishing the southern end of the lake. And I went down there the day before the tournament. And I told you guys, I was like, that Dead Sea down there. Mm-hmm. And I remember having a conversation with Jimmy at that point. He said, why did it change? It was good. It stopped. Why? And I said, well, if you look at the flows, they cut the flow off because they're trying to come back up to summer pool. I think it was April, 1st of April. Yep. So they stopped spilling out of Watts Bar to bring the lake back up, right? When that happens, I've seen Watts Bar, and you've probably seen it too, Joel. Watts Bar will actually back flush.
It will.
So all that current that's coming down, slamming into the dam, and the dam's not open anymore, that water then rolls and comes backwards. And I've actually seen current come. I've been fishing a dock. I'll never forget it. I was fishing a dock with Darren one day, and we'd shoot our jig under the dock, and our jig would go downstream, like you expect. 30 minutes later, we're fishing that dock, and I shot underneath it, and it went upstream. Mm-hmm. And I went, wait a minute, what happened? And he goes, I don't know. And the fish quit biting. They quit. I mean, there was 100 fish there, and we were catching fish pretty regularly, but this was back before live scope.
Yeah.
And my jig went upstream. And I was like, what in the world? So I got on my app and I looked and I was like, oh, well, they cut the dam off. Well, what had happened was when they cut the dam off, it just everything that was coming down the lake moving because the dam was open, then slams into the dam and comes back up the lake, causing it to kind of back flush. And that's why those fish quit, in my opinion. That's why those fish quit down the lake, the ACC tournament.
The lower end of the lake is more affected by that than on up the lake.
Oh, 100%.
There's more that happens more down on the lower end of the lake than it will mid lake up.
Yeah, I kind of compare it to when a boat drives by you and you're sitting 30 yards off the bank, and that big roller comes and goes by you and then hits the bank and comes back and gets you again.
Yeah,
you know, it does the same thing with the dam.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling, if they were to shut off Watts Bar, you're gonna get a lot of stuff coming back up that lake, and it could get ugly. But so long and short, or I guess the short answer to will it clear before the 19th? Do you think you said creeks, yes, main channel no.
Yeah, creeks may be a little murky, but it'll be a way more clear than out in the main channel.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree. I think that's sound advice. I think the creeks will still be stained.
They will.
Yeah.
I like muddy water. I mean, that's just me. I like fishing muddy water.
We differ there. Joel likes muddy water. I'm not a fan of muddy water. If I can find fish in clear water, I'm going to clear water. Joel's opposite. If he can find fish in mud, he's going to the mud, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. So the funny thing, I guess, would be, well, let's look at it this way. If you look at Watts Bar, okay, the way Watts Bar lays, the creeks, if the river runs north to south, all the creeks actually point or come off the main river in a way that the water coming down can get into that creek, right? So if you have a creek that lays the north to south, just like your current flow, a lot of that silt and that sediment will run into that creek. Where if you have one that runs back against your current flow, it doesn't, the water and the silt and everything that's coming down the river won't turn and go up a creek. So those creeks that I'm giving away a little bit for the tournament guys, aren't I? I should shut up now. But those creeks that lay opposite of the flow of water coming down the river channel are going to stay clear. Would you agree?
I agree.
So
I agree with that.
That's the only tip we're allowed to give on Watts Bar. We ain't allowed to give no more, Joel. Don't tell nobody nothing else. All right, let's see. Where's our next comment? All right, Joel, I'll let you handle this one. What do you think? Where do you think the crappie are at with the high water, and is it important to have your live scope compass calibrated?
I would say with the current being the way it is on the main channel of Watts Bar, I would say a lot of your fish are getting out of the current, moving into the mouths of the creeks. I'd say a lot more of your bait is moving into the mouths of the creeks, on up in the creeks. So if your bait goes up in there, your fish is going to be close. Always. Oh. But yeah, I would, if you're in the dingy water, you'll have to calibrate on your live scope a little bit as far as your gain and stuff. You'll get a little bit of dirty return on your screen for sure. Yeah.
Do you calibrate your compass on your live scope so that you can see, I guess it shows where you're pointing at as far as?
Well, I don't really worry about that much as far as dingy, muddy water with a lot of silt stain in the water. I never run noise reject on, but when I fish dirty water, if I'm getting a bad return on my graph, I will run the noise reject on it all the way up to high if I have to.
Yeah. I know one thing is you don't like to run noise reject. I know that because Mr. Jimmy's called me after you guys have fished, and he's like, the screen's so dirty. I don't know how he does it. He's like, turn on the noise reject. It makes it clearer. You can see better. He's like he says that man's a magician. He said, I don't know how he does it.
My thing with the noise reject or ghost reject, I don't like it. I don't like it slowing down what I'm watching. Mm-hmm. And if I've got the noise reject on, it's like it's kind of, you see your jig. If you jerk it, you're done jerked, and then your jig comes up.
Yeah,
it's like a delay, a glitch. Yeah. I don't like the little glitchy part of it. But in dirty water, sometimes if it's throwing bad returns, you almost have to be able to utilize your live scope.
Yeah. So I guess as a general rule of thumb for high water, especially dirty high water like we have now, light penetration is you're not going to get as much light penetration. And so those fish have to move up in the water column to be able to see. because if they're down there if they're down there 20 foot deep and they can see, well enough to see bait, see fish, see predator fish, see, whatever. If it muddies up and they have to come up to 10 feet to be able to get enough light to see, then they're coming up. I mean, they're not going to sit down there in the dark. So my first thought is they're going to come shallower. Now, that might not mean they're going to move all the way to 10 foot deep. I mean, they may stay in 20 foot of water, but they're going to move up in the water column.
Yeah.
And then I agree with Joel. They're going to move into the creek, especially with as much current as there is. A lot of current out there, and they're going to push into the creeks. They're going to push into the mouths. They're going to look for those areas that are current breaks. They're going to look for those current break areas. The problem with current breaks when it's 65,000 CFM is even if you get a jig in front of them, they're not going to move, because if they move out of that current break to come get a jig, they're literally going to get swept away. I mean,
and some of the current that I've seen, yeah. For sure.
They're literally going to come up off the, if they're sitting behind a stump, if there's a stump sitting on the bottom and they're sitting right here behind it, and your jig comes over the top of that stump and that fish jumps up at your jig, he's going to go, woo! He's not going to be able to hold.
Yeah. I think the muddy water, I think it also brings your bait fish up closer to the surface. I've noticed that in several different lakes I fished. The muddy water, it'll bring your bait fish up closer to the surface.
Oh, I would agree.
Bait fish come close. They come closer. The crappie's going to come closer too. That's the reason I think a lot of times you catch them out roaming. You catch these crappie out roaming, and when they're after that bait up there, and sometimes they won't eat because they're already so full of food.
Yeah, I agree. I think those bait fish. A lot of times those bait fish. It's funny because we see that mud on the surface, but that water's moving so fast that there's different layers of lake, which we know from thermocline and everything else. A lot of time it's just that top layer that's dirty.
Yeah.
The layers that are below that aren't full of that mud or that dirt, right?
Right.
It's just that top layer. And a lot of times I agree with you, those bait fish will move up also to feed, because when that water stains up and gets dirty, you've got microorganisms, phytoplanktons and zooplanktons and all this different stuff that's washed off into the lake and is now up there on that surface, and those minnows are coming up because that's what they eat.
Yeah.
Right.
So minnows got to eat too.
That minnows got to eat too, right? Minnows got to eat. Fish got to eat. We got to eat. Which, as a matter of fact, I need to go get me some crappie because I got to cook for my baseball team here in a couple of weeks. I got a whole baseball team I got to cook crappie for. So it was pretty cool though. I asked the boys what they wanted to do, if they wanted to go the corn maze and the pumpkin patch, or they wanted to stay at Coach's house and eat fried crappie and played with Nerf guns. They were like, Nerf guns and crappie, we're good. I'm like, sweet.
That's a no-brainer.
That's a no-brainer. We can do that.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was the answer you was wanting to hear too.
What's that?
That was the answer you was wanting to hear too.
Oh, it was. Oh, 100%. As far as calibrating my compass, I have installed probably how many live scopes have I installed? Joel's talked to me about half of them that I've installed. He calls me at 11 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm working on a boat. I don't know. I've installed hundreds of live scopes at this point, and I've never calibrated a compass. They say it makes a difference, but I've never had an issue. So
I never even paid attention to it on the up in the little screen. I never paid attention to it.
I don't either. I
may be wrong for doing that, but I ain't had no issue with it yet.
Yeah. Dave Williams says it's looking okay on the lower end of Douglas. Above Dandridge is a real mess. Yeah, I mean, up above the boom that they put in is a disaster area. Actually, I've got to go up there tomorrow, so I'm going to be up there in that area tomorrow because we're going up there and looking at doing some work, doing some help up there. So I'm going up tomorrow, and maybe I'll make a video or two, show you guys. But yeah, it's bad. I'm glad the lower end's clearing up. So if the lower end is clearing up, Joel, that means, they keep spilling out of there. They're going to spill clean water for a change.
That's true.
That might help, but
true.
I know I was on Loudon today, as far up as Duncan Boat Dock. Duncan Boat Dock is, I don't know. Oof. Well, I was up plumb. UT, up past UT Stadium. Duncan Boat Dock actually is higher up than UT, I think. How that weighs, but anyway, it was still tomato soup. I mean, there wasn't a drop of clear water anywhere. So there's still a lot to flush out. Let's see. Jimmy, old Jimmy Pratt says it's a perfect time to drop structure. What is your opinion on dropping structure, Joel?
Oh,
Yeah, you ain't gonna drop it on the main channel.
If you drop some on the main channel, there's a good chance you won't ever see it no more.
Yeah, you'll never see it again. You'll drop it. You'll drop it in Kingston, and it'll be at the base of the dam before it sinks.
Yeah, you definitely have to find something out of the current to sink brush right now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So when Ray goes, this is what we learned right here by Mr. Jimmy with this comment, is when him and Ray are dropping brush, we need to look in the creeks for the brush that they're dropping. That's what so we've eliminated half the lake, Joe.
Yeah, Ray Pratt drops so much brush.
Oh, I know.
He's got it all covered.
I know. I wish I had his dedication.
He really helps out our fisheries in East Tennessee.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a water temp that the fish move off of timber?
I don't think so. I think it's more of a bait thing. I think it's more of a bait thing. If they're it's where the bait is.
Mm.
I that's what I fish on 95% of the time. Is the muddy water. I think they would leave brush if they needed to get in a creek away from the brush on a main channel. I think they would leave that brush to come in a creek, whether they're on brush or not, but just to get out of that current. The bait's going to be in there. If the bait goes in there, the fish is going to go in there too.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely times that the timber has more fish on it. But I think timber will hold fish year round.
Oh yeah, it will.
The thing about our lakes is we have timber. We're blessed because we have timber in different depths. Take Tellico, for instance. We've got timber on Tellico that's in 80 feet of water, and we've got timber on Tellico that's in 8 feet of water.
There's too much timber in Tellico.
Oh yeah,
it's
ridiculous.
Tellico's got too much timber in it.
It really does. And
that may sound crazy to hear as a crappie fisherman, but it's the truth.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the problem with Tellico is it's got so much structure in it. It's got so much timber in it that it scatters the fish out so much.
Absolutely.
I mean, it scatters them out so much that I took Brantley last weekend, this past Saturday or Sunday, I believe it was, evening. Or was it Saturday? It was Saturday, wasn't it? Was it Saturday we went? Yeah, I think it was Saturday. Anyway, I took him down to Tellico. We put in down at Baker's Creek, and I never started the boat motor. I put it in Baker's Creek, and I put the trolling motor down, and we started out towards the main channel and found timber everywhere. There's timber here and timber here and timber over there and timber over there. And there'd be 2 fish here and 2 fish there and 3 fish here. And then we hit the sweet spot, okay, is what I call it. There's always a sweet spot on that timber where if you find it in the right depth and the timber's just tall enough, there's more fish. Would you agree?
I agree with that. Yeah.
So if you find timber in 50 foot of water and there's 2 here and 2 here, 2 here, then you go to 40 foot of water and there's 2 here and 2 here, 2 here. Then you go to 30 foot of water and the timber's 12 feet tall, and all of a sudden there's 20 there and there's 40 there and there's 13 there and you've hit the sweet spot.
Yeah. They got their depths they want to be in.
Oh, 100%. 100%. They're just as ornery as we are. You come in from a long day of working and you look up on your AC unit and it says 74 and you're going to be like, hey, mama, what are you doing? Hey, I've been outside all day. It's hot. I want some air conditioning.
And I've seen it change like that from creek to creek. It'll be one depth in one creek and be a different depth in another creek like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got to be willing to change and look for different things or you'll never find it. If you stay doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over.
It's funny you say that because I've never said this on here, but I'm going to say it tonight because there's a creek on Tellico that has a spring in the back of it that I know for 100% fact is a spring because I've sat over it for probably the last 10 years when Tellico muddies up. It's right around mid-lake, okay? Right in that mid-lake area. There's a spring in the back of a creek that is warm. It is a warm spring or hot spring. And I have sat over that thing in the winter and fished that creek in the winter with pretty good success. Now, it's a deeper creek. There's not a lot of shallow water in it. It comes out from some rock, okay? I'm going to try not to give it away too much for you guys because some of you guys are really good at triangulating. But it comes out from under some rock. It's a kind of a bluff wall deal, and it is a warmer spring in it. And that creek, the fish will always be at different depth than some of the other creeks because it in the winter it stays warmer, and in the summer it stays in the winter it stays warmer, in the summer it's hotter. So they may sit a little shallower in the winter. And they may sit a little deeper in the summer. You know what I mean?
It's a creek. So, it's a creek running in. It's got oxygen coming in.
It's got oxygen. It's got warmth. And, in the winter, as a matter of fact, Darren and I have fished it before in the winter and absolutely just sat there and had a ball catching fish because they will absolutely just flock to it and sit right there on it. And you can throw a jig right up against the rocks and just pick them off one at a time, just nonstop. And it's a lot of fun. It's one of those places where you want to take a kid to.
Yeah.
So to your point, different creeks will set up different every time you go in them, right? Yeah. There's this myth about if you find them in this depth, remember the old saying, if you find crappie in 12 foot, they're 12 foot all the way across the lake.
No, that's not.
No. On any given day, go to one tournament and you'll learn that's not true.
Not true.
Yeah, because if the guys talk like we do after each tournament, tell people how we caught them and where we caught them, what depth we caught them in, right? Pretty much give you a roadmap.
Yeah.
You're going to hear some guys that say, well, I caught them in 35 foot of water. And you're going to hear some guys say, I caught them in 3 foot of water on the same day.
I've heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard it several times.
Yeah. So, hey, that's pretty neat. All right. Let's see who we got next here. Jimmy says Matt fishes fast. Joel fishes slow. That's true. So, let's talk open water because Joel, let me tell you guys, Joel is, if there was a medal for sniping crappie, this guy would have 312. Okay? So if there was a gold medal Olympics for sniping crappie, this dude right here is it. All right. So, I like to think I can do it pretty well, but this guy right here, hands down. All right. Kudos. High five. All right, so
that's my favorite way to fish.
That is your favorite way to fish, right?
You go sit down in the creek, or you don't have to be in the creek. You don't have to find brush piles. You don't have to find stumps. You don't have to find stick ups. You just go fish.
Just go fish, right?
Go fish.
So my approach to open water fishing, I run my trolling motor somewhere on 5 or 6, okay? And I'm running down through there, 2 poles. I'm looking both ways. Well, when you have a partner. when I'm by myself, I'm just on one pole, right? But I'm on 5 or 6 and I'm rolling down through the creek. And I'm looking. And then I'll find a fish. Sometimes I have to stop my boat, and sometimes I don't because, if I see that fish out at 60 feet, then I can just kind of let my boat coast on 5 or 6. But you do it a little different. So tell us kind of how you do your open water fishing.
I usually go to the wind. Trolling over, it hardly ever on 2, not above 2.
And what trolling motor do you have?
A Garmin Force.
And your Garmin Force goes up to 20, correct? Have you seen it on the remote?
You don't. I think it does do it on the remote.
It goes to 20 on the remote.
I never use my remote. I just do it on the foot control. Just
two. So you're 2 bars on
two green bars lights up, and that's it.
All right. So there's 10 bars on the.
Yeah.
There's 10 bars on the actual trolling motor. So you're somewhere around 3.5 or 4.
It's like 2 clicks per bar. You turn it 2 clicks, the bar lights up. 2 more. So
you're somewhere 3 or 4. You're 3 or 4, somewhere right in there.
But it's slow.
I'm 6. Yeah.
And then I always try to go into the wind.
Yeah.
With the wind hitting me in my face.
Yeah. So I'm traveling twice as fast as you are typically.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the advantage to going a little slower over covering more water?
Don't spook as many fish. For starters. Don't spook as many fish. And like you said, if you've got 2 people in the front of the boat fishing, you got a pole on both sides of your boats. You can pass up fish real easy. Moving those poles quick. The same way on the trolling motor, you can pass those fish up, moving it on the trolling motor back and forth. If you go I think if you go a little bit slower, you can see a little bit more stuff, and you got more time to determine if that's a crappie or if that's a drum or if that's a yellow bass, and then I can ease to it. I might bump my trolling motor, ease to it, bump my trolling, ease to it. But most of the time, I'll start casting at them at 60 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time.
So you're able to, by going a little slower, you're able to not spook as many fish, pick an area apart a little bit more. And you're able to kind of bump to them to where I'm having to slow down to them a lot of times.
That's it.
And I used to have brakes on my boat. I took those off.
Your boat's hard to slow down.
Extremely hard.
Yeah, your boat's hard to slow down.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah, my boat will sit. If you stop my boat, it will sit there in a 20-mile-an-hour wind and not move. Well, that's not true. It'll move in a 20, but it'll sit in a 5 or 10-mile-an-hour wind and not move. But once you get that sucker rolling down the lake, it's like trying to stop a locomotive. Once it's going down the track.
Trolling motor, if you're on 6 on a calm water and you're going forward at its maximum on 6, if you see a fish and you have to all of a sudden turn your trolling motor around, you're definitely going to backwash.
Oh yeah, if I turn my trolling motor around on 6, it shimmies too. It'll and that fish will go, what the?
Yeah.
So I will say this: a lot of times the fish that I catch open water moving at 5 or 6 are not in front of the boat.
Yeah,
I will say that. Most of the fish that I catch, and you'll see me, it's kind of crazy because most of the fish you only get one cast at. Would you agree?
I agree.
Most of the time. Now, on Douglas last year, you could get 312 casts at those fish. It was ridiculous. I mean, they were sitting there like they were on drugs. It was stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were drunk. Didn't know what was happening. But most of the time, you get one chance at a fish. So what I'll do is when I'm running at 5 or 6, I'm coming up the lake. And a lot of times I'll see a fish, and I'm looking out to my side mostly. And I'll see that fish. And what I'll do, instead of turning around and with the trolling motor, I'll go a little bit past that fish, and then I'll come around to the right.
Yeah.
And I'll set that fish right beside me, straight out in front of me. And then I'll make a cast directly out the right-hand side of the boat to him, straight over the pole.
Yeah.
Okay, because my pole's right here to my right. So what I'll do is I'll come like this, and I'll go whoop, and I'll almost almost like, you know, when we were kids riding big wheels and you'd slam the brakes on and turn sideways.
Oh yeah, you drift.
You drift. You know how you drift on your bicycle when you come to a stop when you was a kid? That's what I do with my boat. So I'll have my boat going like this and I'll go whoop.
Yeah.
And when I do that, I know that fish is going to be straight out to my right beside me, and I'll make that cast to him. Okay. That's how I do it. That's just kind of the technique. Now, let me tell you when that gets a little complicated. When you put Josh beside you and he goes, there's a fish, and you flip the boat sideways trying to get over on the left-hand side, and he's like, it's on your side now. That's what he does. He's like, you didn't go far enough. Now he's over there on your side. And I'm like, oh, how convenient. He's like, you just boat blocked me. And I'm like, I didn't do it on purpose.
When I'm by myself and I'm just fishing, I try to throw at crappie at every angle. I mean, every angle I can.
Yeah.
Try to throw across the boat, behind the boat, just whatever I have to do, wherever I see them at.
Yeah,
because
I'll do the
like
same.
The more cast you make, the better.
Yeah,
you get.
I do the same thing. I'm just talking about those big fish that you see that you just think, all right, I got to get set up on that fish.
Yeah.
A lot of times, because like you said, when I turn my trolling motor around in this big boat, this 690 VS, and I hit that trolling motor to try to stop, it's, I mean, it literally shakes. And it throws away. So it's a lot easier for me to come and just drift, right? Just kind of turn that boat sideways around past that fish. A lot of times, because when I see a fish out to my right, most of the time he's 40 or 50 feet to my right.
Oh, yeah.
So I can go up past him and then spin that boat around, and he's right there 25, 30 feet from me.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the way. And it's funny, you know, I do it different than you do it. And a lot of the reason we do it different is because of our boats. I mean, yeah. I have to adapt to my boat. You and same with you. That's why you go straight into the wind, because your boat is aluminum, right?
Yeah.
And it's light. So if you turned your boat like that, because I go into the wind too until I turn the boat. But when I turn that boat, I'm sitting across the wind. Yeah. If you did that, oh my gosh.
Well, if I had the brakes on the back of my boat,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't care to go with the wind, against the wind. It really wouldn't matter. But I don't have those on my boat. And if I'm going slow and I'm going into the wind, and if I was to happen to run up on a fish that's closer to me, mm-hmm. then I can let off my trolling motor. I don't really have to backwash, and I'll just let my boat kind of drift natural. With muddy water, you can almost drift up on top of them.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's see. We're way behind. See how easy it is to get behind on comments?
Yeah, I can't even see the comments.
All right, let's see. Let's see. All right, this is an engine question. Is all the sediment in the main channel hard on the motor, making runs through the main channel? I was afraid to run in Loudon the other day. What do you think?
I really don't know. I go either way. So I guess if it's bad for it, mine's going to tear up. I've never had one tear up yet.
Yeah. So. It's not good for it. No, I will say that from a, I'm not going to call myself a marine mechanic, but from a guy that works on a lot of boats and a lot of motors and a lot of electronics, it's not great for it. It's just like if you ran across a sandbar and sucked a bunch of sand into your motor. I mean, these motors have gaskets and seals and O-rings and the old motors, the old two strokes that have the old fuel pumps and stuff that have the little rubber flappers in them and all that, then yeah, I mean you get a lot of stuff up in there, and you could hurt a motor, right? But the water system on the newer motors, the 4-strokes and things like that, that impeller is so thick, it's not really going to hurt that impeller because there's water going way through that motor pretty quick. and it's flushing anything that does go up in there pretty quick. But once it goes through the motor itself, it's not going through anything that it's going to damage or hurt. What I would worry about is if you run in it constantly and it clogs something up, then you could end up with an issue. I mean, if we had to run in that every day for a year, then build up over time could eventually hurt you, maybe clog something up. But I don't think it's going to hurt anything just running in it a couple times. I don't think. All right, Danny says, will you have both jigs and minnows? You gonna have minnows with you next week?
No.
No, I won't either.
I think fish. I think when the water's muddy, murky, I think fish probably have a little bit harder time seeing a minnow than they do a big old bright jig.
Yeah, I agree.
No.
All right, how do you fix a live scope screen that starts rocking back and forth like a seesaw? And have you ever seen it?
In waves? I mean, are they asking?
Have you ever seen it where it starts doing this, the bottom?
Like if you're in waves, or just if you're sitting still?
Just all the time.
Yeah, I've seen it. Just turn it off, turn it back on.
Yeah, that's what I do. Turn it off, turn it back on.
I
have had
that is.
Huh?
I don't know. I don't really know what that is that makes it do that. I don't know if it's.
It's
I don't know if it's to do with a compass. I don't really know. That may be why I need to calibrate my compass.
No, it's not the compass. It's so I've had that issue several times with different live scopes. It's the it just needs an update, is what it is. It just gets hung up, and sometimes turning it off, turn it back on, fixes it, and it's no problem. You can just move on, keep fishing, but typically an update will fix it. Typically, you're not updated all the way. If you're not updated, then that's what I've seen cause it. You're not updated, are you?
No, I'm not going to.
You're not going to? Well,
not till they make one that makes my screen better.
I'm updated, and it hadn't made it any worse. So
that's just always my fear. If I like it the way it is, and I do an update on it, if that update wouldn't help the box or your transducer, I'm afraid it's going to mess it up, make it worse. I just leave it like it is. That's what I'm used to.
Yeah. FOA says, first time tuning in, Matt, enjoyed watching a few videos, especially the one on pulling planer boards. Great info. Thank you. As a matter of fact, FOA, me and this guy right here, backwards, right? That guy that guy right there. We're going to go down and pull some boards on Delhala. When? This coming spring?
Anytime, really. I never pull planer boards, but it's a good lake to do it on. I do know that.
We actually were going to do it last year, and I don't know what came up.
Middle of February,
something came
1st of March. That's when they really started hitting them down there.
Well, this year we're going to do it. We're going to do it this year for sure. Let's see. Oh gosh, some guys say they went old school. So, for those that don't understand the inside joke with the old school, is I told everybody I was going to fish old school up at Douglas last year. And then I went up there and pre-fished and learned that it probably wasn't in my best interest to fish old school. So I broke the live scope out, fished open water. And now this guy over here nicknamed me old school because he said I was supposed to go fish old school and didn't. So now everybody calls me old school.
Old school. There's nothing wrong with old school. Old school's good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And new school is good. I mean, they're all good. All right, let's answer this question and let's talk baits, Joel. So what Garmin forward-facing sonar do you use?
I use a 126 SV on the right side of my boat, and I've got a 1222 on the left side of my boat, both with 34s. And I'm fixing to have a 32 on the trolling motor.
Yep. So I use a 126 SV on both of my units. I used to have a 1222, but with guiding, I learned real quick how easy it was to adjust my 126 because it's all on the screen.
Yeah.
And I can just touch it. So when I have a customer on the boat, I can reach down and I can adjust the unit out for them to see brush further off. And then once we get closer to that brush, I can just reach down there and on the negative and bring it in so they can see the fish better. It's very quick, especially when you're guiding and you have to adjust 2 units.
Yeah.
So I went with the 126 just because it was simple to adjust. A lot more so than the one or the 1222, because the 1222 you have to hit the knob and go to your forward range and then turn the knob and then hit the knob and go to your gain and turn your gain and then hit the knob. So it was just a little more difficult, but both good units.
Oh yeah, they're both real good units.
I mean, really, there's no picture difference.
Touchscreen would be a lot easier to show somebody how to use.
Yeah. As far as picture is concerned, though, you don't see a difference in the 1222 and the 126, do you?
Not enough to make a difference.
Yeah, that's me too. I mean, I don't see enough. I don't see enough to make a difference.
Yeah, I don't.
All right, let's talk baits. I want to talk baits. Nobody's asking bait questions. I know that, but I want to talk baits because this is another area that Joel and I differ. Okay, a little, not much. Very, very similar bait profiles. Because Joel, what bait is your go-to? I think everybody knows because you got the shirt on. But what bait is your go-to bait? Just brand.
The Crappie Reapers.
Crappie Reapers. All right. So everybody knows that for many, many, many moons, my go-to has been the bonehead tackle stump bug, right? Bonehead tackle. So, again, as I rummage through my junk here, a lot of similarities and a lot of difference in these baits, both. Let me grab a color I don't have. Where's it at? Oh, I'm going to fall. I'm going to die. All right. So, Joel, what would you say? Well, tell everybody what your favorite Crappie Reaper bait is. Favorite one. For clear water, or just clear normal water being clear to slightly stained.
I've still got probably the Gorilla Juice. It'd be the Ripper. Be the Ripper Gorilla Juice.
So that's the Crappie Reaper Ripper.
Yeah, the Ripper.
In a Gorilla Juice color, and it's got a split tail, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of a green and silver, or
it's a monkey milk on the bottom. And it's a green on the top.
So green on top, monkey milk on the bottom. So that is your quote unquote go-to for the most part.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. So you gave me some the other day. You gave me some of these jigs, and you gave me the Reaper grubs in Gorilla Juice, right?
Yeah.
So that's where's my camera at? That's the Reaper grub. So there's the monkey milk, and then there's the green or chartreuse, I guess, on the bottom, and that is the Reaper grub, which I used in one of my videos, and they caught fish. I will say they put it on them.
I've not used one of their baits. I've not used one single Crappie Reaper that I have not caught fish on. That's the honest truth. I've caught them on every color that I've had.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my son, hang on, my wife chiming in. So everybody knows my son's a crappie fool. Brantley said he would like it if it had one tail and not split. So here, son, there's your one tail and not split. So that's actually the bonehead minnow, and it's not the same color though, right? Not the exact same color, a little different.
A little different, yeah.
A little different because this is actually silver, not monkey milk, right? So show the bottom of yours there, Joel. So Joel's is actually monkey milk. This is actually silver and green, but a little different, but very similar, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny to me. One of the things about all these bait companies is, there's only so many combinations that you can have. There's only so many different colors that you can have. And man, once you get one right, you get it right. You know what I mean? Because I have thrown these, not only the minnow, but I've thrown that's the mini slim, and I've thrown the stump bug, which are in my bag. But I will say the Gorilla Juice catches more than that similar color in the bonehead. I'm just saying. It's just something about the monkey milk and not the silver. What we got there?
The platinum.
So you like the platinum?
Oh yeah.
So
I like the platinum.
And that's a split tail, right?
That's the same. That's the Ripper. That's the same grub.
Yeah, that's the same grub, the Ripper. So it's just, again, it's hilarious because Bonehead has one very similar, and I just don't catch fish on them. I've used them, and for the life of me, I don't know where they're at. Bonehead has one that's very, very similar. You got me digging in my box now. They have one that's eerily similar, but I just don't catch fish on it, and that's where we differ. It's funny how there it is.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I've used these and used these and used these, and that's why I tell you guys all the time. It's a confidence thing, right, Joel? I mean, it's a confidence thing. It's what you're confident in, and a lot of times it's what you fish with the most. Joel fishes with the Gorilla Juice so much that that's what he catches his fish on. That's what you're confident in, right?
Oh yeah, that's for sure. You got to use what you're confident in.
Yeah. So if you're confident in it, and a lot of times if you're not confident in a bait, guess what happens? I mean, if you're not confident in a bait, Joel, and you put it in front of a fish and that fish doesn't bite, what goes through your mind?
You'll start using all kinds of baits. Fish ain't biting. The number one thing is you'll think, well, the fish ain't biting.
Well, I can tell you right now what happens if I got this minnow on, and I take that minnow and I put it in front of a fish and it does not bite it, and I don't have confidence in it. As soon as this thing comes out of the water and comes back into my hand, it's going that way. Yeah. Because I don't have confidence in it. I'm not going to be sitting there thinking, well, that fish just wasn't hungry. No, that fish was hungry. It just wouldn't eat that gum jig because that jig don't work, right? Because I'm not confident in it. Would you agree?
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So tell me about this bait, because this is, and I'm going to ask you if you've used this one before, because I've got me a box right here. I got me a little boxy box of crappie reapers that I got sent to me here. So I want to talk a little bit about this one bait and see if you've used it, because I think it's going to be dynamite. Have you used this one yet?
Yes, shimmer. Shimmer's a really good color.
Shimmer.
Yes, I've caught a lot of black crappie and black nose crappie on that particular color on Del Holla and Center Hill.
So this and the color on my screen is not very good tonight for some reason. That looks kind of yellowish, but it's actually chartreuse.
Yeah, chartreuse.
And it's got a silver flake. It's clear on top. So the top of it's clear and it's just a silver flake.
Yeah, it's kind of iridescent on top.
It is. It's got an iridescent clear on it, and it's just, I mean, look at that thing.
Blackfish love it.
I can't, I mean, that right there is going to be the business. I'm sorry, but that is going to be the business. I'm excited to use that one for sure. What else were you holding up down there?
Oh, I've got my muddy water baits. That's my muddy water baits, the white and chartreuse. And then they got the actually it's called Show Me. That's Show Me and the Crappie Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
This Grim. It's kind of a black chartreuse. This is one of my favorite ones.
And that's a two-tail bait, right?
Yeah, that's the Ripper.
Yeah, that's the Ripper. Yeah. So, do you like the length of the tails? Because they're a little longer than most.
I like a long, slender bait. Me personally, of course, I mean, you can see the tail. It's got a lot of action to it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm a long, slender bait. When it comes to white crappie, I'm a long, slender bait person. Black crappie, I'm the little firecracker.
Small as you can get.
I like a small bait for blackfish. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that blackfish won't hit a bigger bait. I've caught plenty of black crappie on a bigger bait, but I have more success with a smaller bait fishing for blackfish.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you got fans in the house, Joe. Mr. Chad Drake in the house. He says, "You're the man, Joe. You are the man." Chad. That is Mr. Crappie Reaper himself right there, guys. What's up, Chad? Hope you're doing well, buddy. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. All right, so one more I'm going to ask you about. Let me find it. I've got one more right here that I keyed in on. Where'd she go? All right, Joe, let's ask about this one. Rust. Check that out. Yeah, you use that one, don't you?
That's a really good Clearwater bait.
That's the pumpkin chartreuse.
Yeah.
I like it. I can feel it. It just feels warm already. Look, it's just nice and warm and toasty. It feels like home, Joe. It feels like home.
That color needs to stay home. You need to use that color next weekend.
I'm going to. That's exactly.
You'll have to go to Teleco.
Hey, there's the color I'm going to use right there. Pumpkin seed.
That's a really good color too.
So I'll tell a quick story. We went to High Rock in South Carolina, okay, and fished on a members trip. And we got down there. I did not research the lake well enough before I left, first of all. Second of all, we got down there, and the lake literally looked very similar to what we've got right now, okay? And the only bait that I could get them to bite, and I mean the only bait, was an orange and chartreuse slim stick from, let's see, I don't think I have any of them in my, I literally never use them. Literally never use them because they're a muddy water bait. I mean, orange and chartreuse is mud for mud. I don't even have any in my bag, but that right there, yep, that right there in pumpkin seed is going to be, if it does not clear up on Watts Bar, I will be throwing some form of orange and chartreuse for sure. That and black and chartreuse, right? Black and chartreuse.
Yeah.
That's pretty much universal.
I catch a lot of the crappie on the pink, the bubblicious. I catch a lot of fish on this pink. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the black and chartreuse. That's the green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably my second favorite color.
Yeah.
Clear water, dingy water, either one. It don't matter. That black and chartreuse is always good.
Oh, all the time. So real quick, because there's a couple different baits. I kind of want you to explain to people a little bit about the different baits, because when they get on the website, I don't want them to get confused. So there's the brush reaper, excuse me.
Brush reaper. Mm-hmm.
Brush reaper, okay, which color doesn't really matter for this moment, but that's the pumpkin chartreuse. That's the brush reaper.
Yeah.
And then there's the brush reaper 2.0. So what's the difference in the reaper and the 2.0?
Well, the 2.0 will be a main body color with a chartreuse tail, maybe some sort of different color tail. But the regular brush reaper may be like a 2-color top and bottom, or a mixed color of the whole bait.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's why the rust is kind of a top and bottom two-tone.
Right.
And the reaper is kind of top and bottom two-tone, and then the 2.0 is front to back two-tone.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. I got you. That makes sense. So here's the bait that I was looking for earlier. I come across the pumpkin chartreuse and had to poke at you a little bit, but this is the bait that I was looking for earlier, and I'm sure you probably use these all the time, or maybe not. But the staple in the crappie industry, I guess the color that every crappie angler in America has in their bag at some point, right, is the monkey milk.
Yeah.
Right. So they all have the monkey milk, and the monkey milk and chartreuse, that is a Reaper 2.0, right? Because it's front to back color.
Yes.
The tails are chartreuse and the body is monkey milk.
Yes.
That's a bait that I'm excited about, and
I'm
excited about several others. Huh?
That's always a crappie catcher, that color. Whatever lake you go to.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. Let's see. Let me look right here. One thing I have noticed is there's some variation in some of the tail colors as well. Some of the chartreuses are kind of a yellowy chartreuse, and some of the chartreuses are a greeny chartreuse.
Yeah, some of them are bright, and I like it.
Which I like. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's, you got something like, so you can kind of see the difference right there in those two chartreuses. So you've got kind of a yellow truce and a green truce.
Yeah.
That's the way I describe them, a yellow truce and a green truce.
Yeah.
I like, in different situations, I like the yellow truce and I like the green truce. Thoughts? Any different for you?
No, I can think of different situations. I like both of them.
Yeah.
I really
me too. And I like that. The thing I think the most about it is, for the most part, and I don't know if Chad has caught on to this or not yet, but maybe he has. Maybe he designed it this way. He might tell us here in a minute. But the yellow truce, which is actually brighter, the yellow truce is paired with most of your kind of clear water baits, and the green truce is paired with some of your more bright, because that's that platinum, that's that very bright kind of silver. Yep. And then you got the green truce attached to it. So they offset each other.
Yeah.
So I like that. I may be thinking way too far into it, but I normally do. I normally overthink everything. I analyze everything. I literally pay attention to the small things, because the small things, guys, make a big difference sometimes, especially as a tournament angler. So I love to be able to look at the different variations of colors and the different variations in baits and the different, because those tails are different too, right? So you got, kind of you got a long tail here and a short tail here. Shorter, not short, but shorter.
Shorter.
It's just the little things. I love looking at the small stuff, it makes a difference, and it's things that you can think about. I've got some other things here, Joel. I've got some little curly tails that for black crappie. I mean, I don't know how that little sterling grub. Uh, I mean, that's the blade, the Reaper blade. I mean,
yeah,
that thing right there is tiny. I think it's going to be a good black crappie bait.
We'll test them out behind the planer boards at Del Hollow.
Well, yeah, we will. So, it's that thing. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, that's a black crappie bait.
I think so too. I would love to see a little bigger one for some of these white crappie lakes. I'd like to see a little larger curly tail. Something maybe another half-inch larger. Little higher, little larger profile body, but that right there, man, is screaming black crappie.
Yeah, it is. It really.
So, and a summer crappie bait. I mean, for white or black crappie in the summer when they're lethargic and they're not really feeding, and you're trying to match the hatch. Again, a lot of people think that the crappie just aren't as hungry in the summer. It's not necessarily true. They're feeding on baits that are smaller because the shad spawn, and when your shad spawn happens and so on and so forth, the bait that they're actually feeding on is smaller in general. Mayflies, right?
Bruce.
Well, I was getting ready to say that. You took it out of my mouth. Brantley and I were actually on Teleco the other day, and there was a fish that spit up a mayfly in my live well.
Yeah.
And when you see a wet mayfly, I'm not kidding you. If anybody has seen a wet, waterlogged mayfly that has come out of a crappie's mouth, if you put a pumpkin and chartreuse jig down beside it, I swear to you, it is identical.
They are the same color.
It is identical. So, for those with mayflies, you may want to try pumpkin and chartreuse. I'm just saying. Just throwing that out there. And I don't know what I've done with that color now. Brantley probably stole it. He's sitting down here with me. You steal my baits, boy?
What do you mean?
No.
I don't know nothing.
No, you don't know nothing. He's pleading the fifth. They also have a mini grub, right, Joel?
They do have a mini grub. I don't have none of the packs in the house with me.
I do. I got one. I got you.
Yeah, them are the Del Hollow baits. That is definitely their black crappie bait.
Yeah, that is.
I've not got a chance to go up to Del Hollow or Center Hill and try those yet. But start November, I'm about to.
I mean, these things, you'd have to put them on a number 4 or number 6 hook. Probably a number 6, to be honest.
Yeah, I would say a number 6. Probably with a 64th head. I'm not really sure.
I mean, I'm trying to get a hold of it. Yikes.
Yeah, that's little.
It's little. I like it.
That's a finicky fish bait.
Oh, 100%. And believe it or not, that's about the size of a chewed up mayfly.
Yeah.
I mean, a mayfly ain't much bigger. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to using some of these. They intrigue me. This is a good one. This one right here, I like.
Yep.
Blizzard.
Yeah, Blizzard. I like that color too.
Yeah, it's white with some blue flake. It's got some sheen to it. I like that little bit of sheen that it has to it. Okay, that's my favorite thing about it. Is it's got a, and I don't know how else to explain it other than saying it's got a sheen to it.
Yeah, it's got a sheen to it. Yeah,
you guys can see the light kind of reflecting off that sheen. I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
that blue flake, and it's not a dark blue; it's like a baby blue.
It's like baby blue. I think that blue is what makes that sheen in that. I believe the blue is what makes that color look like that.
Could be, yeah.
It even changes when you put one of them in the water. It kind of changes. Even you can kind of see that a little bit more than what you do out of the water.
You know what? If Chad didn't have this one named, I would name it. You know what I'd name it?
I don't know.
Remember when you was a kid and you ate snow cream?
Oh,
Do you remember? Remember when you had snow cream as a kid?
yeah,
Name it snow cream.
yeah, snow cream.
Yeah. Yeah. Orange and chartreuse. There's the bait for next weekend, Joel.
Yeah. What is it? Raging Crawl?
Rage and crawl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the bait for next weekend right there. You can't have my box. It's my box. I'm keeping it. Yeah, it's my box. I don't know what happened to my pumpkin and chartreuse, though. I'm going to have to find them because I lost them somewhere. I set them somewhere. I don't know where they went. But so let's see what's Chad. Chad said something here. Let's see what he said. Joel was the inspiration to the color to Gorilla Juice, and it has been a huge hit. Good job, Joel. Way to go. Big hit.
It's my favorite.
Well, yeah, of course. That's because it catches fish.
It does catch fish. I've not been to a lake yet. It don't catch fish on.
Yep. Yep. So Chad says, we try to be different on all our colors with the exception of our traditional colors. There's staples in the crappie industry, and it would be crazy for these bait companies not to have those staples.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there that, by golly, they're going to fish with a monkey milk, and they're not going to buy it if you don't have monkey milk. You know what I mean? They're going to fish with purple and chartreuse, and they're not buying it if you don't have purple and chartreuse, right? So, there's staples in the crappie industry that guys use. And yeah, absolutely. You got to have the staples. You got to have what people want. Or otherwise, why are you making baits?
Yeah.
There's a good question. Alex says, are the crappie reapers as tough as the bonehead baits?
They're tough. I don't know. Bonehead uses some kind of different material. They're not. It's a different feel. If you pick a bonehead bait up and put it between your fingers, and put another bait between your other two fingers, and squeeze them and roll them, it's a different consistency. I don't know what it is.
I've been trying to figure that out too. And it's almost like the bonehead jig has a lead core in it. Because when you squeeze
I would never knock another bait. I mean, I'm not knocking bonehead.
No.
The stiffness of bonehead, the stiffness of that plastic is durable. You can catch a lot of fish on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the action part of the bonehead baits could be just a little bit. I think they could have just a little bit more action toward the end of the bait.
Yeah.
But as far as durable, the crappie reapers, you catch numerous fish on one bait.
Yeah, I would agree.
Numerous fish on one bait.
Another thing about the bonehead, especially the stump bug, is on the stump bug, you can see how wide the side of that tail is. So you get a lot of side-to-side action, but you don't get a ton of up and down action. You get some.
It'll do it, but it stops. It's kind of like the fast.
But if you go side to side, it'll keep going side to side.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fast tip on a rod.
Yeah,
on your fishing rod, it goes down, it comes up, and it quits.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. Now if you hold that joker this way, I mean, it'll sit there and wiggle. Now the top one's not because it's got the paddle tail in the way, but it'll sit there and wiggle this way. But that's not how you fish them. You fish them like this, right? So you get some side-to-side action, but you don't get a whole lot of up and down action out of a stump bug. To where your point, the material is, but I mean, you squeeze that bait, and there's resistance. I mean, you can feel resistance on that bait. You cannot take a bonehead bait and squeeze it and touch your fingers together.
Yeah.
Whereas some baits you can. I mean, some baits you squeeze them like that and they'll pinch in half. The bonehead, will not. But as far as my opinion of the crappie reapers, from what I've used them, and the Reaper grub is what I've used the most. It's a little bit larger profile.
It is. It's bigger round profile.
That Reaper grub, that white one. The profile of that bait on the end, let's see if I can get it straight, is wider. Therefore, they last a little longer just because of the width. So you can see that's a stump bug next to a Reaper grub.
Mm-hmm.
I like the little bit wider profile because when I stick my jig head down in there I'm sorry, I got the hiccups. When I stick my jig head down in there with a barb on it, it doesn't tear that bait as easy.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a long time to say doesn't tear the bait, but good Lord, I got the hiccups. So my answer to that question is those two baits have differences, each one being unique to the bait, to where if you're looking for a little more action and a bait that's still durable, the Reaper is great. If you're looking for durability and that's all you care about is durability, I'd say the Bonehead is probably where it's at as far as durability. Just straight durability. But again, to Joel's point, I think the Reaper has more action to it because it's a little bit softer, but it's not much softer. And I don't want to talk bad about anybody's baits either, but let's use Bobby Garland as the soft bottom. If there's a bottom of the scale as far as softness of a bait, Bobby Garland's probably at the bottom of it. Would you agree?
And they are. There's no telling how many dollars worth of Bobby Garlands I've used in my life.
Yeah, I mean they're
catch fish. I've caught tons of fish on them.
That is my favorite color.
You'll go through a pack pretty quick on a really good biting day of fishing.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%, without a doubt. So, as far as softness is concerned, I mean, that right there is about as soft as they get.
Yeah.
So I think as far as softness is concerned, you got Bobby Garland down here. Or as far as durability, you got Bobby Garland down here. You got Bonehead up here. And then you got Reapers probably right there. I would put them right up there with Crappie Magnet. Would you agree?
I'm more of a Reaper on the durability than a Crappie Magnet myself, and I like Crappie Magnet baits too. But
I would agree the Reaper grub is more durable than the Crappie Magnet for sure.
Yeah,
I haven't used a whole lot of the. Rippers. I haven't used a whole lot of the Rippers, so I can't speak to the Rippers.
They are. You can catch numerous fish on them.
Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm. And it depends on what kind of jig head you use too, what kind of keeper you got. If it's got a lead keeper, if it's got a wire keeper, got no keeper. There's several baits if you got a wire keeper on your hook. Two fish, and they're all going to rip. I don't care what kind it is. It's all going to rip with a wire keeper on it.
Oh yeah, if you use that, tell me those hooks. That one. Yep. If you use a wire keeper like that right there,
mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what bait you put on it.
Just a few fish, it's going to rip.
If a fish pulls it off there, it's going to rip it.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, if you go no keeper, like I do a lot of times, then you can fish all day with the same jig.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, hand me that rod right there with the purple and chartreuse on it. This jig right here has caught, I don't know how many fish. I don't know how many fish that jig caught. Now it's tore at the top, but it's still on the hook. and you can see how chewed up it is. I mean, that thing, as a matter of fact, the hook's bent. It's got so many. But there again, it's tore, and it's tore because of that keeper. I mean, that keeper is going to tear your jig. I mean,
that's what I'm talking about. Whether it's lead or wire's a little bit worse.
Yep.
But lead, after enough hook sets, lead will rip them too.
It will. After enough fish, it's. And I know that jig right there. Just when Brantley had it the other day, caught 25. Mm-hmm. See, he said, just when he had it the other day. So, and it was on there when we got to the lake, and it caught probably 25 or 30 more. But yeah, like I said, as far as durability, I'd say you got Bobby Garland, Bonehead, and then very, very, very close behind it, you've got Crappie Reapers and Crappie Magnets. And, we could all go back to fishing with a hair fly. You fish with a hair fly till the hair falls out.
Caught a lot of fish on hair fly.
You remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
You know what the bad thing about hair flies are? Is they're like $9 a piece now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're so expensive. True. They're so crazy expensive. I've told everybody a funny story real quick about my hair fly experiences. Is there's a guy that we know that we've known for years, and he likes his drink. He likes to drink, and he'll go home at night, sit down, and start drinking. And and the way we got to know this guy is my old fishing partner's dad knew him because they worked together when they were like in their 20s and 30s. And that's how long they've known this guy. And anyway, he would drink, and then he would tie hair flies when he was drinking. And we walked in his house one day and said, we need some hair flies. And he opened his closet, and from the floor to the ceiling in shoe boxes stacked up. And he said, what color? And I said, blue and chartreuse. And he goes, that's right here. And he'd grab a shoebox. And he'd say, here you go. Hand you a whole shoebox full of them. And he's like, it's like, what are those all full? And he's like, every one of them. I'm like, golly. I mean, he just sit there. And he used to sell them to us for a quarter a piece.
Quarter a piece.
A quarter.
You can find them now for a quarter a piece.
No. And rest his soul, I think he's dead now, to be honest with you. But we bought like 15 shoe boxes full from him, and I have them sitting all over the place. I have some in the boat, but yeah, he's there's not guys like that out there anymore. Not many. So, but yeah, I hadn't used a hair fly. I don't know how long. Most everything I do, the only time I use live bait a lot when I take Brantley. Or when I take kids, and then I use live bait on guide trips a lot. That's about the only time I use live bait anymore. What about you? Joe?
Hey, do what now?
Live bait. Do you ever use live bait anymore?
Oh, yeah. I'll use live bait plenty of times on Dale Hollow, Center Hill.
Is that certain situations?
Some on East Tennessee Lakes too sometimes.
Yeah. Just certain situations dictate?
Certain situations, yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. I love throwing a slip bobber. I love it.
Oh, yeah, I do too. I love watching that bobber go down.
Me too.
Absolutely love them.
So easy to catch fish.
All right, let's see. Oh, here's a question. When you are looking for individual fish, how do you know you are looking at a crappie rather than a bass or something else? Tell the truth, Joel. Tell the truth.
That takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it does.
The easiest way I can explain it is just all right, say a catfish. If you see a catfish or a drum out in open water, it's almost like you see two fish. You see a big fish, and then it's almost like you see a void and a little bitty fish, but that's its tail. You can see that tail. Crappie is more of a. It's hard to explain. It's a faded light. It's a dim light. I don't know. I don't know how other to explain that really, but it's more of a round circle. It's more of a round circle, and it's not. You won't see the return reflect off of it.
Yeah.
You know, a hard scale fish, you'll see the return shine off of it after it comes to your unit. So probably you will not see that.
It's funny because we got to where we would scream out, we were sitting there looking for fish, and you hear one of us, pie plate. You holler out pie plate.
Pie plate. Yeah.
They look like a pie plate to where as now a larger crappie will look like a pie plate. A tournament fish will look like a pie plate. As far as for me, I think it's the smaller crappie that I struggle with telling the difference from a crappie to a white bass or a crappie to a bass or a crappie to a bluegill, because those smaller fish don't throw off that same return, in my opinion, as those larger fish do, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, especially when they're schooled up, I think once those smaller fish get schooled up, sometimes you don't get a good solid return from those schooled up fish. I know we're talking individual fish is a question, but those smaller individual fish sometimes throw me off because I'll think, hey, that's a white bass or that's a stripe, or that's a little bass swimming. Most of the time, your bigger crappie, your pie plates or your bogeys, we call them sometimes. There's a bogey. That bogey is going to be setting dead still. But then I've had days, Joel, have you, and I'm sure you probably have too, have you ever had days where you catch more open water fish that are moving than sitting still?
Sometimes I have.
Most of the time, those days, well,
the fish that are moving is the ones you're going to have the hardest. I mean, they're the hardest ones to learn how to catch.
Yeah,
in open water.
Yeah. So another quick story was on Watts Bar, fishing in a creek. This was about middle of the creek, and the day that I went and fished, there was bait. There was bait balls all in the creek. Okay, so you'd have a bait ball here and a bait ball over here and a bait ball down here and a bait ball over here and a bait ball over here. There's bait ball. And you would see those fish, the individual fish. You'd see those fish, they'd come up in the water column and they'd stop and they'd sit under a bait ball. And then you'd see them kind of move into that bait ball. And you'd see them come back and settle again. They'd stop. And then those fish would go down, hit the bottom of the lake, and then you could watch them go across the bottom of the screen. And you could follow them. You'd follow that fish, and then you'd follow him 20 feet, and he'd stop. And you'd sit there for a minute, and you'd watch that fish come straight back up like this.
Yeah. And
stop. And then if there wasn't any bait around, he'd sit there for 2 or 3 minutes, and then he'd go back to the bottom, and he'd move. And I got to looking at it, and I saw that, and I thought, man, is that crappie? Crappie's supposed to be sitting still. They look like crappie. Let me see. So we followed a couple. We'd watch them. They'd come back up, and we'd cast to them. And about the second or third one we followed, I got a hook on him. It was a big crappie. It was like a 1 3/4 fish. And we did that constantly all day, is following these fish that were going down and up and down and up and down and up. And the thing I learned that day, because, with live scope, we're constantly learning. The thing that I learned that day was crappie in a feeding pattern like they were in aren't necessarily going to be sitting still. If you're around bait and those fish are around bait, they're probably around bait to feed.
Yep.
And it's the same thing as you seeing a fish sitting out there still and you casting to him and him following your bait. So I kind of learned real quick that the ones aren't always necessarily sitting still. And a lot of those fish that are crawling across the bottom of the lake are crappie. Believe it or not.
They are.
Yeah. Yeah. I was amazed at how many would drop all the way down to the bottom of the lake and move and then come back up. And I think they use the bottom of that lake as their quote unquote ambush point. I mean, they're moving and then they're coming back up on that bait and ambushing bait. It was really neat. And
Really?
It was 4 or 5 hours of it.
Yeah. Really, the only other fish that I personally see that imitates a crappie sitting still in the water, it is white bass or yellow bass.
Yeah.
They're the only ones I've really ever seen that sit still for a period of time like a crappie does. Bass never sit still, but they're swimming constantly. Drum, most of the time they're not sitting still unless they're on a tree, a brush pile, or a stump or something like that. But the just a little bitty round glow balls on your screen. It's a dimmed light. There's a little dim dimes on your screen. That's what you want to throw at everything till you get to where you learn what it is.
Yeah.
If you catch it, how you catch it, throw at everything till you get to learn what it is.
Yeah.
And the more you see it, the more you know.
Yeah.
The more you.
To your point, if you look at your screen and you see something that looks like this, that's a crappie.
Yeah.
If you look at your screen and you see something that looks like this, that's this shape, that's a bass.
Probably.
Or a drum. It's a bass or a drum.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at your screen and see something that looks like this and the tail's flapping, that's a shark. Okay, that's a freshwater shark. That's what I call them.
That's some kind of huge fish.
It's a carp or a big drum or
my experience is always catfish
or a big catfish. Yeah. Or a big catfish. Anytime you see the center of that tail or the center of that body moving and it's snaking across your screen.
Yeah, it's almost like a void between the big fish and a little fish, but it's the same fish. But it's got like a little void. It's just
it's like this.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. I mean, just watching all the different fish and watching, and learning. I mean, that's the thing is we are able to see and learn and it's just like I was saying, with the fish going down and coming up and ambushing bait and moving across the bottom, using the bottom of the lake to transition from point A to point B. So I look at it like this: when there's a fish in the water column and our boat comes through and that fish runs, that's the same thing. If there's a wad of bait and here comes a crappie, that bait is going to run.
It's going, yeah.
But if that crappie drops down to the bottom of the lake and he moves across the bottom of the lake and then he comes up underneath them where they can't see him, right?
Yeah.
And all he has to do is turn, because crappie feed up, right? How many times have you seen this? Here's your jig, Joel, and what's that crappie do?
I think that's the reason. I think that's a lot of the reason they go down to the bottom of the lake. They want to keep everything above them if they can.
Yeah.
You got bait balls. You might have a bait ball in 2 foot. You might have one in 10 foot. You may have one in 12 foot. I think that's the reason they go to the bottom. They'll come back up. They'll go down to the bottom, sit close to the bottom. They'll come up and set in 5 foot. They'll go down, set in 12 foot. I think that's the reason they do that. They want to keep the bait above them. I
agree. And it's funny because like I said, when you see that jig and that fish comes in, he's following your jig's moving, that fish is following it. Mm-hmm. When that fish does this,
yeah,
hold on.
Yeah, he's getting ready to.
He's getting ready to slap it. Yeah, he's getting ready to whack that thing. He's getting ready to hot tour on it.
Yeah.
All right, it's getting late. I'm losing my mind. We're gonna have to get off this thing. Hot tour on that thing. All right, whoa, boys. Woo-wee. Hold on, fellas. It's getting deep. Yeah. All right. So, here we go. Herb says, "Thanks, guys. I just ordered $155 of Reapers." You're welcome, Herb. You're welcome, buddy.
You'll love them.
You'll love them, just like Joel said. You'll love them. So, I'd ask you what colors you bought, but if you bought $155, I'd say you bought every color, didn't he?
You might have got a little of each one.
Hey, we got a little of each one, didn't he? All right. We got some good nights, some enjoyed it. First of all, I want to thank Joel. Joel, appreciate you, buddy, for being on with us.
Appreciate you having me. Have fun.
Yeah, well, we ain't said nothing about your deer in the background, but I'm sure everybody was staring at him the whole show.
Oh, yeah, I don't even hardly hunt no more.
Yeah.
Every once in a while thing now.
Yeah, Brantley said I was. He's standing here. He goes, I was. Yeah, that old deer hunter over there. But thank you for being on, Joel. I like joking around with you, and I like poking at you. But in all honesty, you are a crappie king, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your knowledge, and I appreciate your friendship more than anything.
You as well. You as well.
Oh, thank you very much. But all right, well, we're going to sign off. We appreciate you guys as always. What do I say, Joel?
Do what now? I couldn't hear you.
I said, what do I say? As always,
God bless.
God bless. Have a great week, and we will see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Appreciate y'all.
See you.